I'm Jillian Del Head of Retail and Wealth Distribution Strategy at Nasdaq. This is Talk Your Ticker. Today, I'm joined by Steve Schoffstall, Director, ETF Product Management from Sprott. Steve, thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. So tell me, who is Sprott?
We're a Canadian asset manager. We have about 50 billion in assets under management. Over the last several decades, we've built a lot of experience as it relates to the metals and mining sector. We offer a number of private strategy managed equities, but we're probably most well known for not only our metals and mining expertise, but also our physically backed trusts, which cover things like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, uranium, and copper. And we also have a growing lineup of US listed ETFs, which are focused either on precious metals or critical materials. So it's been a great time here the last several years at Sprott as we've really expanded that lineup and also expanded the relationship that we have with Nasdaq.
Fantastic. And we're here today to talk about SETM. I call it SETM. I don't know how you refer to it, but SETM. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, that's the Sprott Critical Materials ETF. This is one of our flagship products that we launched about 2.5 years ago. And it's really dedicated to providing investors with pure play exposure to miners of 9 different critical materials. When we talk about pure play exposure, we're talking about those companies that have at least 50% of their revenue or assets tied to one of the underlying metals. The metals are really broken into 3 different categories, all based around energy, whether it's the storage, the transition, or transmission, or the creation of energy. Things like uranium, silver, rare earths, copper, battery metals are all eligible to be included in the index. And what we've seen as we're starting to move through this kind of next generation of energy technology is that we're seeing a lot of demand growth for energy. A lot of that's being driven by whether it's increased standards of living in developing nations or artificial intelligence. But we're also seeing energy security really move to the forefront. And we think that critical materials are going to play an important aspect of the growing economies and changing global economy going into the future.
Absolutely. And so for those who may not be utilizing something like this in their portfolio yet, where do you see it fit within a broader asset allocation?
Yeah, what we hear from most investors is that they look either to add SETM as part of a thematic or a growth sleeve, or sometimes alternative investments. We see it getting an allocation. It's one of those areas that investors might not be able to get a lot of exposure on individual ticker bases. But what we see is that investors like the ability to have kind of this cross-section critical materials exposure. And at the same time, some of these miners can also offer some diversification benefits. So that comes along with the favorable growth characteristics that we see as well.
Sure. Are you seeing any particular type of investor utilize this ETF?
Yeah, in the early days, it was very much retail focused, but we've seen a noticeable shift over the last 18 months or so, where we really see advisors now coming to be the largest holders of SETM. There's really 2 main reasons for this. First is that if an advisor is running a model portfolio, oftentimes there's only areas for 1 or maybe 2 tickers in their model dedicated to a specific theme. So SETM gives them broader access to critical materials. And the other is those advisors that don't necessarily want to pick winners and losers or which commodity might be outperforming another at any given point in time. So it gives that broad-based exposure without the need to figure out which commodity might be more in favor at the moment. And what we're seeing with the news flow typically is a lot of the investment that's happening from public and private isn't dedicated to just one specific metal. It really is across the critical material spectrum.
Yeah, I would imagine the latter use case makes a lot of sense for those who just don't feel equipped, and this is a great solution for that. What, from your perspective, makes SETM particularly unique?
So this is a strategy we were able to develop with Nasdaq. It allows us to bring our expertise in the metals and mining sector along with Nasdaq's renowned index capabilities. So I think first and foremost is that this is a pure play strategy. So we are focusing on pure play companies so that investors won't have too much unintended exposure. The other thing that really sets us apart is the semi-annual rebalance, where we actually go through and we score each of the individual companies twice a year to make sure that we're picking up any new additions into the index universe. And then finally, I would say that unlike what we see with some other competing ETF strategies, is this strategy isn't overly focused on, just one or two metals. We do see some cases where some strategies could have 85 to 90% of exposure just concentrated to two metals. We have caps in place to make sure that doesn't happen, and that allows us to spread the exposure out to 8 or 9 different materials.
Great. What a great overview, SETM. Thank you, Steve. Let's pivot to you and to Sprott. So what are you reading or listening to right now?
Yeah, I think probably the obvious one is, given the news flow that we see with critical materials and the energy security debate and how that's really taken off in the last 6 months, a lot of reading around industry publications, what that means for metals markets and how that's playing out. I would say, on a more personal level, Charles Swindoll has a great series on called Great Lives. He wrote a number of books. It goes through some historical figures where you can learn about, their faith and perseverance and wisdom and leadership that they needed, in difficult times. So that's been a series I've enjoyed.
That's fantastic. And where can we find Sprott on social media?
We're all over social media, very active on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. We're also active there as well. For investors that want to have the most recent information, you can go either to sprott.com or sprottetfs.com. There we have our list of our insights, which are basically monthly market insights that we're updating every month. It's not behind a paywall, no need to register to access that. And also you can learn more about our ETFs at sprottetfs.com.
Fantastic. Well, Steve, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. It's great to be here.